Woo! Welcome back, traders. Make sure we are going to be going over Niostock today. Make sure to stay until the end. We're going to go over some juicy stuff. Welcome to this absolutely beautiful Red Monday. You know what Red Mondays are? They are absolute buying opportunities. And let's go over a couple of the levels that we had talked about are possible for Nio to retrace to, right? We knew that this was not going to go up forever. Eventually, it's going to have to take some breathers. And if I can give you guys some clarification on where this thing may go, hopefully that will work to ease your mind a little bit and put you at rest so you can go about your day and go touch grass, go outside, go see a loved one, right? Because not everything has to revolve around Nio. Although almost 90% of things happen to revolve around Nio nowadays. You can see today a pretty nasty rejection candle from that 760 zone on an increase of volume. So right off the bat, I don't love that, right? And we had talked about the bearish divergence on the RSI. You had one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7 touches of bearish divergence on the 4-hour, and I think it's 5 on the daily, right? And so what am I looking at when I'm looking for bearish divergence on the RSI? If you guys don't know, RSI, Relative Strength Index or indicator, measures the strength of a stock based off of moving averages, right? You can see here that when price makes a higher high in price, but a lower high in price, that is known as bearish divergence. In fact, strong bearish divergence. So whenever that occurs, it is to be noted, right? You're not doing yourself service or your due diligence if you are not noting when these touches do occur. It's actually perfectly measured the top in Dogecoin, just as an example, every single time in the daily time frame. Now we're talking about the 4-hour, right? 7 touches on the 4 hours, pretty egregious. So I personally am looking for a throwback to, let's switch back over to Weeble here. I am looking for a throwback to this local high at 6. Where'd we mark it? It's close here because it's almost already there. We're looking at a throwback to around 682, and you haven't gotten there yet. But that was your next stop for significant support. So this was your prior resistance. Whenever you see drawbacks like this, especially extreme ones, almost down 7% today, you see a couple different things in the daily time frame. You're testing the 9-day EMA, and you're also about to test previous resistance and hard resistance at that, right? You look at last time you touched this 6. I keep blanking on what it is. 682, such a weird number. Last time you touched 682, you dropped, you dialed in how much percent? Touched it, dialed in. Almost 20%, guys. You touched it again, dialed back again, and then you ripped. So this is a significant area of resistance. You're now testing as support. I would have liked to see this on descending volume. As you guys know, that has been the case every single time back here, is you've had these descending volumes, except for the fake out, right? Descending volumes into a pump up, descending volume into a pump up. I do think that there is still an opportunity to pump up, and I'll explain why, right? But I would expect to see some kind of reaction here at 682, beyond 682. Let's say you knife below, your worst case scenario. You do have support here at the gap fill. So you have support on the top and the bottom. The top of it reaching 642, and the bottom of it reaching 629. So these are all significant resistances turning into support here, guys, on the local time frame. If you zoom out a little bit more, right, because when in doubt, zoom out. It's always the case. Don't overthink it. Just continue to zoom out and validate your thesis, as long as your thesis is valid, right? Down here is probably the hardest support you have of any of the supports. And there is an argument to be made now that you're breaking this uptrend that you can reposition your uptrend. If I can grab the uptrend. Oh, that's annoying. It's like perfectly slated on that horizontal resistance. Hoya! No, not like this. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna draw a new one. I've had enough. All right. So let's give you a better picture. You've now formed a new uptrend, right? You had an uptrend back here, you broke it. This is your absolute strongest uptrend right now, besides for this one. But this is your strongest current uptrend. In fact, it's marked the bottom of the last 2 runs up. So I could see a definite world where you make everyone think you're going to gap fill, and then you don't. You bounce off of it perfectly, and you return to that full profit target that we have measured out, right? Because that does still exist, guys. Do not forget about that. You go to the weekly time frame, and what do you have, right? You have a couple different technical landmarks here that are significant. Let's do the measurement, right? So taking the previous run, bam, sticking it on top of the flag breakout takes you pitch freaking perfect to the 200-day EMA on the weekly time frame, guys, and also a spot of significant horizontal resistance. That is why we've pictured this yellow on this horizontal line, almost as important as this yellow. This is Genesis right here of Niostock. This is what led us to believe that you're going to go higher. I should have entered a position, but I'm a coward for not doing so. But this yellow horizontal resistance, you see how many times you've tapped it here. Pitch perfect tap before capitulation. Pitch perfect bounce. Pitch perfect bounce. Reject, 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 reject. Bounce, bounce, right? Even going back to the IPO. Reject, reject. And then this was your difference maker. This was your reflection point in which the stock decided, I get above $10, dude, and I am going to rocket up to 16 immediately. And there is a world where you do something very similar to that again. But I don't anticipate it to happen because of how much is going on at $10. The 200-day weighted EMA, exponential moving average, in case you guys want that acronym, is sloping down perfectly at your price target. I like to call that technical confluence, guys. That is an amazing thing to see our price targets being validated by these weighted moving averages, right? So I do still believe that there's a world where this is a weekly inside bar, a technical bullish consolidation pattern, that so long as you do not eclipse this full-bodied candle and you don't close below 642, right, I do believe that this can be another one of those consolidation periods before making a leg higher because the technicals are due. That is your price target. Oof, that was a burp. That is your price target, right? And typically these price targets get fulfilled. If you don't, it would be because of the bearish divergence on the daily or the 4-hour, right? The multiple touches thereof. But I do believe that you're going to see this price target up to that 945 area, right? So, Niostock. We talked about it on the local time frames on how that looks. And like I said, when in doubt, continue to zoom out, guys. You have an amazing run here. I mean, just from when we started to cover this thing, which was during this flag period, to now you're up 70 freaking percento. That's insane. But when you continue to zoom out here, you see that the weekly 50-day moving average, right? The weekly 50 is curling up. The weekly 200 is sloping down. If you do come to test this, guys, your 50 is going to pick up the pace and your 200 is going to flatline. And when that happens, I would expect price to follow, right? I would expect something along the lines of your 50 doing something like this. Dang, I messed that up. Your 50 doing something like this, right? And eventually crossing this 200 right here, making a weekly golden cross on this freaking stock since the first time since back here. And we all know what transcended that, guys. From this golden cross on the weekly time frame, you went up 300 freaking %, right? So golden crosses are a very, very bullish sentiment thing to happen. On the daily time frame, it's great. On the 4-hour, it's great for measuring local moves. On the monthly time frame, it's amazing because you're seeing a macro swing in the stock's price history. But on the weekly time frame, it is mesmerizing. It is an absolute golden trend to watch because when you had a death cross here, right? This was $20 from the death cross, guys. You saw this thing drop 85%. So you're having swings up 300, drops 85%. I'd say for only happening twice in the stock's history, a third time, it's a pretty good measurement of the stock's future price action, right? So if you are to hold these levels, even at $7, you will see a weekly golden cross, guys, and you will see price action like that. It's just historically that's been the case. It's one of one. Every single time you've had a weekly golden cross, this has happened, right? And that's not to say you couldn't fake out here. Of course you can. But the technical setup is there, guys, to do something ridiculous, to begin to test the bounds on Niostock. Now you go to the monthly, and you can see you're starting to see rejection. I'd like to see this close above that 682 range because otherwise you're just making another candle tweezer top like this, right? However, you pull up the Bollinger Bands, and I can no longer argue in any shape or form this stock being bearish on the macro time frame. When in doubt, zoom out, guys. You can see your monthly Bollinger Bands are beginning to expand even further at a rapid rate, right? As you have 3 monthly green candles in a row, respectively 41%, 31%, and hopefully a candle close that eclipses somewhere between the two, because that would be 3 white soldiers candle formation, and you would look to go significantly higher, right? I believe Niostock is beginning to look squeezy. And I don't know the short interest on the stock. I can cover that at a later time, but the setup is there, guys. So when in doubt, zoom out. I'm not saying that I would buy at these levels, but people will, right? You are testing new support. You're flipping old resistance as new support, and that is one of the most bullish things you can do on a stock. Like I said, I'd like to see the volume flip here. And you still have so much left to test before you freak out, guys. So take a deep breather. Go outside, touch some grass, right? And just look at the chart. It screams bullish. Okay? You still have the golden cross beneath you that you have yet to test. You've tested it once. Typically, every single time you test it, you bounce very, very, very hard. And that's in the daily time frame. So even if you did trickle down, right? Whoops. Even if you trickle down here, maybe you see some kind of reactionary bounce, not enough. Reactionary bounce, not enough. And you test the golden cross here. Boom. That could be the difference. That could take you there. Absolutely it can. I just wouldn't want to see it get down to this yellow zone, because then that becomes a shoulder, head, shoulder, right? And then you're literally fighting to not take out the profit target of a head and shoulders pattern here, which, if you didn't know, the profit of a head and shoulders is taking the absolute tip of the head, take it to the bottom of the shoulder, and then take it to the breakout or the breakdown of that shoulder. And that would take you almost near the retest the absolute retest of this stock and the uptrend that you have validated from back here. So you don't want to see that. That kind of breakdown would be ugly. It would be nasty, but it would validate my inverse head and shoulders pattern here, which in itself would be bullish, and I would be accumulating shares down here. Not financial advice. Don't do or act on what I say. I am just a painter who likes to chart stocks and see if they follow these lines, these silly lines, right? But that is what I have for today, guys. Happy Nio Saturday. I'd be curious to see what you guys say in the comment section. Give me your favorite part about Nio Day down below. Make sure to slap the subscribe button. We're almost at 600 subscribers, baby, and we will become a generational movement. We will. I solidly believe that we will compile a very, very safe, healthy community of retail investors, and we're gonna help educate these people. We are going to build a community of like-minded investors. So slap the subscribe button. Tune in for the next video. Thank you guys, and God bless each and every single one of you for making it this far. I love you all, and peace.